In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a style that's going to be applied only to a specific part of your page. Let's take a look at what we have on the screen. I've created a page, not a very pretty one, using one of the Dreamweaver 5 starter pages. And as you can see over in the sidebar, I've got some links that I've styled. Now the colors are not great. I'm just doing this for purposes of demonstration. And if you look over in the CSS panel, you can see that there's already a set of styles for a link, a visited, a hover, etc. Now, these particular styles are going to be applied anywhere on the page. They're very general. And just to show you what I mean, I'm going to come to the content area of my page, select some text, and insert a dummy link. When I hit return, you can see that I've got the same red color as I have elsewhere in my page. Now suppose I want more fine grain control than that, and I want to make the appearance of the link different from area to area. Of course, you can overdo that, but let's just show how that works in this particular instance. So I've got a link in the particular area that happens to be styled with something called content. And what I want to do with that selected is to create a new rule. Not the general rule, but one that will override it. And what I do is I go to the CSS panel at the bottom, as we have done when you created class panels, and I select the plus button, and I get a dialog for a new rule. Now, Dreamweaver, being really smart, has figured out a couple of things. One, that from the drop-down menu, it's automatically selected the compound choice. If you recall, the other choices were class and tag that we worked on. And it has not only said this is a rule that I'm suggesting that be a compound rule, but it's also put in some of the important information. For example, this particular rule would apply to anything within the container area, which is pretty much everything on my page. Within the container area, it would apply to anything within the content area. That's what that second part means. Within the content area, it would apply to any paragraph tag. And it says, you've got something that you've got as a link. Which of the link states do you want? So I'm just going to put that in, and I'm going to make it into, I'm going to add a colon to the A that's already there, and I'm going to type link. And when I click OK, I get the familiar dialog box that we've seen when we've created other rules. Now in this instance, what I want to do is just simply change the color, and I'll just change it to a forest green for contrast, and I'll click Apply. Either I can click Apply or click OK, and right now I'm going to click OK. And you can see that that link is now green, and I've got a new rule in my CSS panel that specifically is for anything that's within the container, within the content area, that's a paragraph, and now is in a link. And I can take that same general procedure and do that anywhere. So for example, if I wanted to make the links in my sidebar area different, I could create a rule that is specifically for the sidebar. And the same with the footer and the header and anywhere else on my page. And these rules would take precedent over the general rules. So if we go back to the CSS panel, you can see that as we started, there's something called a link. But at the bottom, we've created a new rule that overrides it because it's more specific. What the browser is going to do, therefore, is that when it renders this page, it's going to use the more specific rule rather than the more general rule. And as I say, you could do that with links in any particular area of your page. Now, just one further note. In previous versions of Dreamweaver, the names of the starter areas were specific. That is, there was something called main content, there was something called header, etc., etc. These were divs that were given explicit names. In this version of Dreamweaver, rather than giving the div a name, it instead creates a class that has the same name functionally as what we'd want, and then creates a style specific to that class, a set of styles specific to that class. Now, different designers continue to use the ID method, that is where each div is given a specific name and styles are applied to that area only, and others are using this way of doing business, that is you create a style and then you give that particular attributes. Either way, whatever, as you get more comfortable using Dreamweaver and designing websites, you're going to choose whichever way is more comfortable to you, and the net result is pretty much going to be the same. In this instance, we're making changes to classes that are applied to divs. And at least for the first while, I would continue simply to do what the starter pages have already created. So to reiterate, what we've done in this video is take a look at how to create a style for a specific area off your page. And that style, because we've given it a more specific path, if you will override the general rule for other links on your page. The more specific the rule, the more it takes precedence over anything else.